Welcome to my video and workshop this week. The boards and supplies that I'm using, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about those. This is a marker board. You can get it at like Home Depot, Lowe's, any kind of construction place, Menards. It's literally called marker board. I had the guy split it in different amounts. I use long narrow ones for my students when we do Gelli plates. It allows us to have the Gelli plate in the middle, and we can like tape paper over here, and they can like layer and make ghost prints. So I went with a long view. This is great because you have to cover your table because you're going to be making a little bit of a mess, right? But you don't want to put your Gelli plate on something of a paper surface. Most of the time that you kind of want to put it on something that's non-porous. So I kind of use this smooth surface. The other tools I'm using, I have Speedball soft brayers. For years I used hard brayers, but I found with the Gelli plates, it's a little bit different than doing it on linoleum, and they would slip and slide so much. So this really, actually, the soft brayers are really good for working with the Gelli plates. The other thing, we have these because we do other printmaking stuff. Some people might have them to burnish with. You don't need these. I mean, this is a luxury, right? But burnishing with your hands and pressure, or a wooden spoon like some people have in the past, kicking it old school, right? You could do that. I'm using basic Liquitex, not the high-end stuff, but it's a medium body acrylic for this process. Right now I'm just using white. Of course, you could try other colors and play with different outcomes with the charcoal transfer, but I'm just gonna work with this. I don't squeeze out little tubes like you would with, like, say, toothpaste. I kind of use a daubing method, and I'll show you that a little bit later. I invested in some larger gel plates. These are 8 by 10. So I'm gonna be using one of these today. Let me peel off the clean keeper. I'm gonna go horizontal and stick it to my board over here. I'm gonna peel that up. So we have all of it set and ready to go. We've used these multiple times, so everything cleans up really nice. I do have handy, our school has large tubs of Lysol wipes in the classrooms for the art department. We get a big tub. I have used these. People are like, ooh, Lysol, can you use Lysol on them? Yes, I've used Lysol on them. They help get some of the paint and stuff off. We'll have some baby wipes today. And most people working with Gelli plates are like, oh, just get baby wipes. But I'm just using what the school has provided for us. So there you go. So that's my setup. I have drawn a picture, just some abstract, with some charcoal. So I have regular charcoal, the compressed. I have used some vine charcoal. I have also used vine charcoal that my ceramics teacher made. Yeah, you can do it. He took some of our scrap pieces of balsa sticks that were too small, people weren't using them, and he turned them and burned them and turned them into vine charcoal, basically. It does crumble really quickly, but it's a cool kind of medium value between some of the lighter vine and the darkness of the compressed charcoal. So just giving you a little hint, that was kind of a cool thing. So I'm gonna take this nice and dusty, do not spray or have your students spray fixative on this. We want as much of a mess as possible to go down here onto our Gelli plate. We want that transfer to happen with as many different values that we can get, okay? So no spraying. I'm gonna take this, I've cut the boards so that they are the exact size of our workspace, but of course if you have the Gelli plate alignment guide, you can make your paper, you know, like an inch bigger, right, all the way around. I don't have one of those right now, so I'm gonna just come in here and start burnishing. And again, you could do it with your hands. You might get a little bit of residue from the charcoal up there. While I'm talking, I'm gonna kind of push this down, and this is just to kind of make sure you get pushed all over, edges, medium, inside area. Get all the way around and give it all you got. Again, you could do it with your hands. Heck, you could come back and do it this way, right, with the roller itself. So there's multiple ways to impress and put your charcoal on there as much as you can give it. So here's the big reveal. Okay, I'm gonna peel back and look at my lights, my mediums, my darks. Now, just to let you know, I have printed this one once before. So if your student wants to do more than one of these, or they want to try different mediums on different ones, or have just a cruddy one to explore with, it's totally doable. They can go right back, and what I did was I added a little bit more of the darks, added a little bit more of the lights and the mediums. It's 95% there. They just have to put a little extra loose oomph into it, and then they can do it again. Okay, it's just something to keep in mind as you're working. So we currently have, or I currently have this now completely reversed. It's on to the Gelli Plate. Now we need to pull it off, right? To do that is where we're gonna work with our acrylic paint. And I have a piece of paper ready to go to absorb and to pick it up. Today I am just working with some drawing sulfite paper. It's nice, it's not super thick. What we have found is that the thicker the paper, like if you go for something heavier, like a Stonehenge, a watercolor paper, it's cool, but you really have to put a lot more paint on it because it absorbs like a sponge so much of this, all right? And sometimes your print doesn't come all the way off. So I'm using a little bit of a thinner paper, right? Not photocopy paper, but this is just a nice drawing paper, the sulfite, right? So I'm gonna put that off to the side. I'm gonna get my lid off over here. You can see some residual dried acrylic where I have done my daubing before. So I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna squeeze and make sure that as I'm daubing down, I'm squeezing just a little bit to put some essence of paint on. All right, there we go. I'm gonna wipe that little guy off for the next guy. All right, if we have too much paint on here, that's all right. We can always swipe some of it off on our handy dandy brown paper that we have here. And I can tell that I already have maybe just a smidge too much. So when you see, if you've ever printed before, when you start seeing the little slick, overly slick areas, you can wipe off some of that on your brown paper. I'm gonna go around the edges here. We want some sense of transparency, but we don't want it to dry on us before we get our paper on. So I'm gonna just remove. It's finding that sweet spot. And one of my guys got it perfect right away. Two of the other ones needed to kind of like ink up on their charcoal drawing one more time and try it again. So I'm gonna take this. We can sort of see a little bit of the drawing through it. That's where you wanna be, but still wet. So I'm gonna lower this on here, and this is where we're gonna burnish. We need to do this for anywhere from 4 to 10 minutes. I guess it depends on how dry your paper feels to you. The thinner the paper, like copier paper, it's gonna get really wet and it's almost gonna wrinkle on your hands, and you can feel how cold it is. That you would just have to rub and then walk away and come back later and peel it up, because we really want everything on this plate to dry underneath here, because the acrylic is sealing the charcoal and they're gonna become one when they dry, okay? I did have a student who, I think I mentioned earlier, that we didn't get all of his up right away. It dried a little too quick for us, so this chunk kind of was still stuck on the actual Gelli Plate. Now, some people I have seen online will pull the print from here as soon as it's kind of like ready and you don't feel it being super, super cold anymore. Others will take the actual plate and flip it over and they'll peel the plate off. So whatever works for you, you might try it both ways and figure out which one is going to be your friend more often than not, right? Okay. I'm going to take a peek. All right, things are looking pretty good down there. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pull here because it didn't feel very cold. I really burnished it for about 2 or 3 minutes there. It's not a super thin piece of paper. Check this out. Oh, there's a little bit of wet spot right there. I just found it. That might have been just a little early. Nice. All right, groovy. So you can see that that is still just a little bit wet. It might have been a little bit too much of a drop that didn't get cleared out or smoothed out when I was doing it. So this is our reversal, our final. Look how well this stuff hooked up. It found the subtleties of the lighter vine charcoals, the medium charcoals, and then the rich, rich darks. This is a really good pull. Notice how much is still left, right? So if you're familiar with the whole printmaking ghosting method, right? You could come back with more of the acrylic color, put it back on, and then rub it down with a brand new piece of paper and pull it up and get what we call our ghost print, the remaining stuff. Other people have used clear medium, acrylic medium, so that they put the clear medium on. It's a little bit more liquidy, right? And it really kind of cleans off the plate for the second time, which is awesome. So any of those methods tend to work. It also lessens the amount that you have to clean up on your actual plate. But again, it'll get more of it off with the ghosting. Then you can come back with your wipe and begin to start to remove the remaining parts. Are there gonna be some stains? Yeah. I have found that sometimes if you rub it with your fingers and get it moving, you can then take more of it off with the wipe. I know, it's crazy. Kind of like a dry erase board, how sometimes when you put wet stuff on it, the dry erase marker does not want to move, but as soon as you put a paper towel on it without anything, it does. Same method, all right? So then you can do the next student or another student, or in fact, you could flip it over and go again.